Hey, my Facebook friends, I'm bringing you a great one today. We have Wade from Abide in the Staffless Practice Zoom today. Hello, Wade.
Hey, Dr. Jody, how you doing?
Good. I have to hit record before I forget. Hold on one second, you guys, or I will get yelled at. Okay. So if you spent time in my Zoom or in my world, you know how picky I am when it comes to using great services to make practice that much easier and that much better. And about 6 months ago, we went out on a search for a new partner for all things HIPAA because God knows this is not my strong suit in practice. And we ran into these guys that are really quite cool. Like I just felt like I was kind of hanging out with my brothers when we would have these meetings to say, hey, are you the right HIPAA partner for us? And we leaned in hardcore, and I'm so glad that we did. So the purpose of today is to introduce Abide and Wade to the Staffless Practice community and to learn a little bit about what we want to be thinking of when it comes to HIPAA compliance, specifically as people who are in practice who are looking to save time, energy, and money so that we can serve great care. So, Wade, take it away and tell us all about what you guys are doing over there.
I appreciate the intro there, Dr. Jody, and we're excited to be able to work with you and your community as well. I think there's a lot of similarities to what we have going on and what Staffless Practice is trying to do. So excited to kind of touch on some of that today. But before I kind of dive into everything, just a little background about Abide too. We are a technology company, and you put it so eloquently there, but we try our best to make compliance fun, right? HIPAA compliance, especially, is one of those things nobody really wants to talk about, but it's a necessary evil in our day and age. We were just at a cybersecurity event in DC that the government put on, and patient information is worth like 10 times the value on the black market than like credit card and social security information is. So it's as important as ever to make sure you have the right things in place. And that's where Abide comes into play to make that as easy as possible, especially for a practice trying to operate as leanly as possible.
You know, it's interesting. We switched my private practice. As you guys know, I'm a chiropractor here in New Jersey. We switched my private practice over to Abide, and um, my our team member who's running that piece for us, she's like, Jody, this is so easy. Like it's so foolproof. There's so little that I have to figure out on creative demand. So I guess my question for you to start, Wade, is what are some of the things that we want to be thinking about, especially today, post-pandemic in practice? Everything's online, everything's accessible at the click of a button.
Yeah.
What are like the main things that we want to be thinking of, not only stateside, but really worldwide when it comes to compliance and privacy and things like that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple areas that we're aware of, and we're kind of tapped into this exciting compliance realm or world, right? But the first one is patient right of access. The whole purpose of HIPAA compliance and really patient privacy, a lot of those standards worldwide, is about allowing the sharing of information, but just holding the healthcare practitioners accountable for doing so safely and securely, right? HIPAA compliance has gotten a bad name. And so a lot of practices have gotten in trouble because they haven't shared information when patients are requesting them, and it puts their whole practice under investigation from the government. Obviously, another big area is going to be cybersecurity. Having the right safeguards in place to protect patient data, and that's where we come in at Abide, is helping to identify what safeguards you're missing and make recommendations on what you need to add if you have any gaps and vulnerabilities. It's a process, a formal process required under the HIPAA rules called conducting a security risk analysis, or like a self-evaluation. And just like a chiropractic exam, you're not just going to go in and diagnose without doing a general exam. That's the whole purpose of doing that exercise from a HIPAA perspective.
So a lot of the terms that you use, you see my eyes like gaze over, right? And a lot of them are like names and terms that should be on a file folder in like a big metal file cabinet. So can you really dumb it down for us? What's involved with making sure that our practice is dotting our I's and crossing our T's? And by all means, if you want to screen share with us, whatever means to get us to understand, like, nutshell understanding of this is what you got to do to cover your ass, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a visual learner myself. So yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen. I got a couple slides. I promise it won't be too painful. But I think the big thing to keep in mind about just compliance in general, it's about having documented proof that you've taken the appropriate steps to check the boxes or meet all those regulatory requirements that the government has laid out. Again, HIPAA is not a bad thing. They've actually prescribed exactly what you need to do step by step. Just having the right documentation in place to show that you've taken those steps. And what that documentation is, a lot of times is we think of it like having a puzzle, right? And you got to have each of these pieces of the puzzle in place. Like I mentioned, that risk analysis or the evaluation of your practice is very important. That's step number one. But it's more than that. You have to train your staff. You have to have policies in place to hold them accountable to the things that they learned in training. It's also going to show the government, in the event of some unfortunate investigation, how you've been safeguarding your patient information. You have to have a plan in place to mitigate your risks and all this stuff. And I understand this can be burdensome for a practitioner, especially a solo practitioner trying to run as leanly as possible. And that's where Abyde's going to come into play and just automate all this regulatory compliance. I won't say it won't take no time, but it'll take as little time as possible. We'd say probably about an hour to get started. And then if you can give us 5 minutes a month, you never have to worry about any type of HIPAA investigation, and you'll have everything you need for your practice.
That's awesome. Is that okay? Cool. I mean, you guys, 5 minutes a month. And that's what Marge said. She said it was just so easy to put together. So, um, I want to ask you about one of the hot things right now that we keep hearing about is AI note taking. And we actually are in the process of partnering with a compliant company that specializes in AI note taking. What do you want us to know about that?
It's a really good question. And it's a really interesting topic because there are a lot of unknowns, right? It's a relatively new technology that's evolving rapidly. From a HIPAA perspective, or even a compliance perspective, just in general, it's important to understand the vendors that you work with. You need to understand what steps and measures they're going to take to safeguard your patient's information. Domestically here in the United States, you're required to get an agreement assigned with them that provides you with the right assurances that they're going to protect patient information and comply with those HIPAA rules, like I talked about. I showed earlier that puzzle picture. Very important to have those agreements in place. If they're unwilling to sign it, all the liability, even if the issue is on the AI company side, is on you as the practitioner there because they were unable or refused to sign that business associate agreement.
Yeah, and I mean, using Abide has made these things really easy for our company because one of the first things we do, like we developed a software program where all of your client communication platform is in one place. It's called the Practice Suite. And the first thing we have you do is sign a BAA with us so that we are covering our butts, but also making sure that we're honoring your practice members because you're telling them, hey, I'm your doctor, I'm your practitioner, I'm going to protect your information, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part in helping you to live up to that promise.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, I mentioned earlier, like HIPAA tends to get a bad name, but we're all patients somewhere too, right? You have to go to the doctor's office. I'm sitting here. I have this letter on my desk. I'm blocking my own patient information, but I was a victim of the Change Healthcare data breach. My information has been compromised because the largest healthcare provider in our country did not take the appropriate steps to safeguard over 100 million patients' data. So, like, again, it's very important. You don't want to have that uh-oh moment. So
That's
take
a great lead magnet for you, Wade. Like a picture of you with that letter,
with the
like
letter, the
even
change
I
letter.
get
Yeah.
stuck with this crap, right?
Yeah, I'm dealing with it, right? And so I'm sitting here screaming from the mountaintops, trying to help, independent private practitioners get compliant, and these big conglomerates aren't even taking the right steps. And I'm confident there's going to be a pretty hefty
That's
enforcement action coming
crazy.
down on them for it.
So
So
you guys were always big proponents of not acting based on fear, but acting based on trust and integrity. And you'll always hear me say, this is not my specialty, this is not my expertise. And from what I've done, and we have done quite a bit of research, these guys at Abyde are the best thing out there when it comes to covering your butt in practice with compliance. So wherever you're watching this video, you're going to see the ability to click on a link to connect with them. And please use that link because we created a beautiful baton pass for the members of the Staffless Practice community. Finally, I have to ask it, if someone was to come to you, Wade, and say, you know what, Jody Dinnerman's got these programs going on and they seem cool, but I'm not quite sure, what would you say to them?
I kind of touched on it earlier. There's a lot of similarities to what Abyde is trying to do from a compliance perspective, and what you have going on with Go Staffless as well. It's all about efficiency and being able to scale your business and spend time on what matters most, right? And that's ultimately patient care. And I think from what I've seen, you guys are doing a great job of that. And I love the fact that you take compliance seriously. It's so important, and it's the last thing you want to worry about as a practice owner. And so, I would stamp my endorsement on what you guys have going on as well. Do you mind if I share some contact information too?
I would love for you to share your contact
Yeah, I'll
information.
throw it up here for just a second. Um,
So wherever you're watching this, you're gonna just let them know that you're one of the Staffless Practice community members.
Please.
Wade is should that be www.abide?
No, it's
Oh,
my initials, Wade
oh, you
Brand.
guys see how my brain went there? Like I immediately saw that. So please reach out to either me for a testimonial or to Wade with the contact information that you're seeing on the screen. Wade, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate you taking it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Thanks for introducing me to your community. Excited to work with some of your community members as well.